We all know our genetics can play a role in our physical traits, including hair color, obesity, certain diseases, but could it also play a role in our emotional wiring?
It's fascinating, right? Joining us this morning to discuss is Judy Wilkins-Smith, author of Decoding Your Emotional DNA. Judy, good morning. Thanks for spending some time with us here on KPRC 2+.
Good morning. It's lovely to be with you this morning, even though it's jolly hot in Texas.
It is. I like that. Jolly hot. I'm going to use that in the next weather toss. Well, listen, folks all over the world are fascinated with their ancestry, using sites like Ancestry.com to find out more about their heritage. But can we also research our emotional DNA?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are over 100 million trees, family trees on Ancestry.com. So people know that there's something about their heritage. And yes, they know that they inherit their physical DNA, but they also inherit their patterns of thoughts, feelings, and actions. So your depression may not be your depression, and your anger may not be your anger. And even more interesting, your money capabilities may not have started with you. They began way back with your ancestors, and they're very nicely circulated all the way down to you.
So being able to trace that and knowing where it could possibly come from, I mean, what can we learn from it?
So there's a lot you can do with it. You now know, hey, this is why I'm sad or depressed, or I struggle with finances. I'm caught in that unconscious pattern. What that then allows you to do is see the pattern and go, okay, time to do it a little differently. So we begin to restock our inner library, our thoughts, feelings, and actions with completely different patterns, and we rewire the brain. And so then, of course, your inevitable future is, or predictable future is, no longer. Now you can create something that serves you better. We just have never known about this, and it's beginning to surface rather well.
Wow, I love that. What is the scientific evidence, Judy, of emotional DNA?
So two things. It's neuroscience, which tells you that you can rewire your brain one new thought, one new feeling, one new action at a time. So it's not having to eat the whole elephant at once. And the other piece is epigenetics. And if you look recently, there's a lot about intergenerational trauma and about how the mother's womb can create trauma for the baby. But there are really well-studied pieces like 9/11, where they studied the mothers who had PTSD, pregnant mothers who had PTSD when this happened, and they've discovered that the markers are active on children too. There are also studies about the Holocaust and studies way back from the Great Dutch Hunger Winter, where you see these patterns cycling down for 3, 4, or 5 generations.
Yeah, so there's a lot of evidence to draw from. So how can we best identify the inherited family patterns that are not ours and no longer serve us?
Well, they're yours, of course, till they're not, right? And the way that you look for that is, where do you find yourself super frustrated, knowing you could do better and still sucked into this old pattern? Where do you find yourself hitting the same brick wall? Where do you find yourself going, if only? You're sitting with two patterns, the one that's trying to stop, which is that one that's got you frustrated, and the big heart's desire or the adventure, which is the one that's trying to start through you. So they're sitting right next to each other, giving each other clues all the time.
Well, let's talk about systemic work. Break that down for us. What does that entail?
Systemic work is the study of you within a system. So you didn't happen in a vacuum. You're a product of mom, dad, grandparents, great-grandparents, the events that happened, things like the Great Depression, where you suddenly find in your generation people are hoarding. Why? Because they're repeating that pattern. It's be careful, you don't want to run out of. So that is systemic work.
Okay, there's another term we want to throw out here, constellations. What are constellations and why are they so effective?
So constellations are super effective because it's a 3D approach to exploring your issue. What we do is we either use live representatives or pieces of paper, because typically we work things out in our heads, or we may write something down on a piece of paper, but when you actually dimensionalize it and give each part of that issue its own space and then place them relative to each other, you very quickly begin to see what the patterns are, are, how they're affecting you, and how with just a bit of a shift in either your thought, feeling, or action, you can undo that pattern and create something entirely different. But because you're seeing it, hearing it, feeling it, you have a multisensorial approach that then becomes an embodied experience. And you know yourself. You look at a sunrise or a sunset and you go, oh my goodness, because you're seeing it, feeling it, hearing it. This is the same approach. And so it creates breakthrough pieces.
So how does one even start to break through a pattern that you've inherited through your lineage? How do you even start to break down a pattern that no longer serves you?
Okay, not difficult at all. So let's take money, because that's one that hits all of us, right? What you do is you look at money and you write down everything that you've ever heard about money, because that's how it starts to filter through. So what have I heard about money? What is it? What does money mean for me? What patterns do I have around money? Where did those come from? Where did they start? What was happening in my life at the time? How do I want to change that? Now you've got the pattern and you've got the way you want to change it. So you've got your two pieces. Also, what do I tell myself about money, and what do I make it mean about me? I'm really not good at this. I'm so stupid. What am I doing? And what do I make it mean about others? See, they're greedy. That's why they have money. And is that the truth? Or is it simply something that I grew up with, that I've adopted or taken on? And if I change it just 1 degree, what is going to change in my financial situation? And it does.
And you really have to be so intentional here and sort of sit down and have that talk with yourself, right, in order to make progress.
Exactly. And this is something that we're not taught. We're not taught to be intentional, and we're not taught to be conscious, simply because this is a whole new field that nobody's ever told us exists. You're quite literally making the unconscious conscious and the invisible visible, and this whole new world pops up for you.
This is amazing. Judy, I feel like I owe you for a therapy session. This is incredible. I feel like it's groundbreaking. We've learned a lot already. Judy Wilkins-Smith, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yes, ma'am. And she is the author of Decoding Your Emotional DNA. You can pick that up wherever books are sold.
Very thought-provoking conversation.
I love it.